All right, welcome to our second session of the day. What did I just sign? I'm Marcy and Jennifer's with me and will be your host for today's session. We will be recording this session and share it through the Past Project YouTube channel in the coming weeks. This session is also live captioned. Out of respect for other attendees, all participants will be muted. If you have questions, please type in the chat box. Only the host and the presenter will be able to view those questions, and we'll share questions with the presenter throughout the session. All right, let's go ahead and get started today. Dr. Sabrina Smith, you may begin.
Hi again, guys. All right, so let's get this party started. Or should I say, let's continue this party. Some of you guys were with me this morning and are just hanging out with me, and some of you guys might be new. So, little bit of a recap as far as I am Dr. Sabrina Smith. And
all right, Dr. Smith, I have to interrupt. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm a little hesitant because I couldn't find the intro code. So the beginning code for this session for RID and IIC CEUs is the word sign, capital S, capital I, capital G-N. So for today's session, the beginning code is sign, capital S, capital I, capital G, capital N. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries at all. Thank you. Yes. So yes, that code SIGN. I've been around for a bit interpreting, over 20 years, and I love this field. This particular, what I'm calling today's workshops, are teasers, because unfortunately we don't get the full 6 hours for each individual workshop that I would love to spend with you guys, because I get real giddy excited about this stuff. So this one particularly, although I'm going to try to get as much as I can in here for this one, but of course we're going to take away questions, I'm sure, and then maybe I'll come back one day and do the whole 6 hour one. But if you were in my last workshop, or if you've ever been in any of my workshops, here it is again. I told you guys about this slide. So what we're going to do today is we're going to try to work together. And when it comes to especially a workshop like this one, when we are together, or if I'm presenting the all day one online, because I actually do this one all day online as well, we end up in breakout rooms, which we don't have the capacity to do for this because it's short time frame. But we still want to be mindful of how we talk to each other, because I want everyone to feel safe here. Now, normally in this workshop, we actually will have the opportunity to share our product. Because of the time constraints that we have here, that's probably not going to be possible. Although I'm not saying that we won't make it happen. If we get a volunteer out there that says, hey, I just did mine, I can upload it real quick, I'll show you. So I'm not saying it won't happen if someone is willing. However, I do, as we move forward today, I actually have a willing volunteer, and I already have their work recorded. And because we're not going to have the opportunity to necessarily look at our own work as much, we definitely are going to look at another interpreter's work and discuss what we're looking at. So we want to be very mindful to have no negative Nancy's and to be as positive as we can. Okay, I am going to try to make sure I put everyone on mute. And then I do tell people that if you do have something to say, feel free to put that in the chat bubble. That is being monitored. I try to monitor it myself, but it's also being monitored by the group moderators as well. They're keeping an eye on that, Jennifer and Marcy. So we appreciate them. And I do check it for questions. Also, if you do have a question, then just unmute your mic real quick and let me know what that is. I'm probably going to also repeat your question so we make sure that it gets captioned, because they were having an issue with that before. Okay, let's get right into it. So one of the things that we're going to talk about first is details and self-analysis. So we want to start being able to recognize details in our product that are missing in our ASL interpretation. We want to not only be able to have someone else tell us that, but I have to recognize it in my own product before I can change it. If I don't know that there's a problem, and even if someone tells me a problem, but I still don't feel the problem, or I don't recognize the problem, it's going to be harder for me to actually change that problem. So we want to start being able to identify issues in my own product so that while I'm working, I can say, oh, okay, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't seem right. There's no transitions here. There's no, whatever it is, there's no role shift, use of eye gaze. So I need to start identifying that, because then you start to feel it in your product, and you can put your hands down and say, something wasn't right with that one. And sometimes we can't identify it ourselves. And hopefully after today, you'll be able to identify a few more. But I'm also, when I do workshops, I tell people, I'm giving you homework. I'm starting the process for you, but you put into it. You only get out of things which you are willing to put into it. So you get out there and you do this even more, and you ask the questions, you have the discussions, and you start to look at your own product differently. Oh no, difficulty. Would like to log into another session. Oh, if you're having difficulty. All right, yes. Marcy is definitely like helping out with all that kind of stuff. Okay. Concentrate on our own product for meaning and equivalency. Now, what I find when I work with people is, and you're thinking, well, where do you get this information from? Well, a lot of this information is School of Hard Knocks. I mentor people all across the country, and I take their diagnostics and I look and I start to notice a pattern on things. And so then within that pattern, it's like, okay, this is what they're looking for. How can we improve that skill in general across the board? And then I look for that in people as we go. So one of the main things is that message equivalency. So you have a product that you have. I'm listening to it, it's coming in, and then I'm going to be putting it out in ASL. So as I'm listening to this product, I have to learn to decipher the meaning of that. That's that's like the most important thing, because I have to get what they're talking about, not just put words out, because then now our product is just going to be a matter of just throwing word salad at people. So I have to get what this means and be able to transfer it into that language so that it comes off smoother. That's one of the hardest things for people to do, to be honest with you. And we think we do it all the time. Oh, I hear it and I'm putting it out. But am I hearing what it means? Or am I just hearing the words and I'm putting the words out? So once you start looking for what this means, and then you're able to transfer that, then you put out a product that's smoother, because now it's their story that you're telling their story, rather than the words that you're putting out there. And we'll kind of see that as we go through today. We want to identify a natural product as well. And you think to yourself, and you sometimes go back and look at your own work, some of your old work, if you have it, compared to your newer work. And then it's definitely clearer, then you'll understand, oh, okay, I can see it more so now. It's harder to identify sometimes if you've been in the field for a while and you don't see it in your own product. So, but if you look at some of your earlier work, then you're like, woo, trust me, I look at my earlier work and I can see. So are you interpreting, like if you're looking at your product, am I interpreting or am I representing your consumer? And that when you're going, well, no, aren't we all interpreting? But there's a difference. If you look at the product, am I just feeding you information? Am I just doing this, feeding you information? Or am I engaged? Am I matching my speaker? Am I following who they are? And I'm giving their message? Because that's the goal, is that whole natural process. You can go take these tests and you can do a beautiful product. Let's say you do accuracy. Let's talk about accuracy. Let's say you get everything accurate, but you don't have the essence of who this person is. And so you're not putting all the other things in there that this person is. So they're going to be able to give you, okay, you have accuracy and that's awesome, but they have to look at these other things as well. And these other things you might not have. And we're going to talk about those too as we're working further. But look at your product and try to identify, am I just interpreting something, or am I literally like telling that story representing my consumer? And ask yourself, am I rushing? And am I missing important information? And I speak from my own experience. We get nervous and I'm afraid I'm going to miss something. I'm afraid, I don't trust myself at all. I'm getting better at that. I am getting better at trusting who I am as an interpreter. It is a process that I feel like I don't know if we ever get 100% comfortable with it, but it's a process that I continue to work on. It doesn't matter what kind of letters I have behind my name. I'm consciously aware of information as I'm putting this out. So because of my rush that I feel nervous, am I all of a sudden like dropping information as it goes? Okay, I think somebody just raised their hand or something. Does somebody have a question? If you have a question, just unmute real quick. Okay.
I couldn't get into the other workshop, so I just need the passcode for this one.
Okay. Okay. The passcode is SIGN, I believe, right? SIGN, capital
Okay.
letter.
SIGN. SIGN. There you go. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Okay. So think about, am I missing the important information because I'm so focused on just getting this information out there? The information, I'm just focused on getting the words out there. So then I get behind. Now, if I'm listening to a story, and I like to give examples to people too when I work. So if I'm telling a story and I'm talking about the boy, and I'll just sign it for you, okay? So, okay, so what I gave you is the point of my story that I'm hearing in my head, okay? So that was the point of my story. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting the general information out there that you need to have. Now, maybe that story had some more information to it, okay? Maybe I missed that they went to Food Line. Maybe I missed that it was an Italian dinner that they cooked. So there might be details that I missed along the way, but I'm trying to at least a general approach to something when I'm getting the information out there so that I don't, hold on, I'm sorry, I gotta keep muting. I'm trying to get that general approach so at least I'm giving you the meat of this topic rather than all of a sudden starting to say, and so then I start getting pieces of the information because I'm trying to find those words. So if I'm listening to the story and I'm like, oh, they're trying to say that the kid went and, you know, bought everything he needed to cook dinner for his family. So I'm going to at least give you that. Is it going to be better if I can get all of the details? Yeah. If I can get all of that and the details too, aces. Of course I want to do that. But I have to start with, I've got to get this natural product out and I've got to get the point of this product too. And then I'm going to expand on that. Because if I'm not, and if I'm just putting out this, it's the same with voicing, sister workshop to this one. If I'm just giving word, 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 then it's not this cohesion. Yeah, you can pin me too. Usually the person that's speaking will come up if you put me in but if you go up to my picture and run your mouse across it and there's the 3 dots, it'll pin. The voicing, the voicing workshop is online, but I can give you more information about me and that later. Okay. We're going to do a vocabulary lesson. I'm not going to get extensively into this because this would take up our whole, we only have an hour and 15 minutes now left. And I really want to get to some of the meat of this, but I am going to kind of go over a little bit of the vocabulary. This vocabulary I didn't come up with. This vocabulary, I believe, is from the EIPA. So what you want to spend some time doing is you want to spend some time researching. Whatever test it is that you want to take, whatever skill it is that you want to develop, you want to go out there, get online, Google, go to the website, Castly, go to where they have the NIC, go to EIPA, go to BEI, If it's a quality assurance in Virginia, go there. Find out whatever information you can find out on that test. You know that when we get our results back, that they send us our results and they have all these diagnostics, you know, that they break down for us, and I can look for it then. I don't want to have it after my test. I would like to have it before my test, please and thank you, so I can prepare myself for what I'm going in for. So I can have these things. So like what accuracy? Okay, so they're looking for accuracy. They're looking for additions and miscues. They're looking for like an anomaly type of thing. That's the information that appears in the interpretation that doesn't make sense. Anomalies can also be a physical anomaly. So let's say that I'm interpreting and I'm taking a test, and this is me, and I'm interpreting and I'm interpreting. And that's true, by the way, that is me. That's one of my anomalies. So an anomaly can be anything that's distracting from the message. So if I tend to do this the whole time that I'm testing, I'm going to want to pull my hair up, because I can be marked down for anomalies that eventually lead to taking away from the message. Okay. So your appearance, your composure, those are the type of things that they're looking for the test. Again, I'm going to go through these real quick because I want to focus on some other things. Classifiers. Are we using classifiers? Do we get it? Are we getting the information that's even being put out there? Equivalency. We talked about that meaning. Am I getting the meaning? Is this a message equivalency? Finger spelling and numbers. We love those, don't we? Whew. Can I please catch the finger spelling? That's what I said. When I went and took in the beginning of March, when I went and took the EIPA again, I don't care how long you've been doing this, and I don't care how many letters you have. When you go to take a test again, you go in there, you got the same feeling. You go in there and you go, I really need to understand this finger spelled word. And then you don't. And then you go, oh, they just did it again. I still don't get it. I still didn't get that word. So we have to have tricks in our bag of tools in order to, okay, I'm going to have to do general. I'm going to have to go gish. I'm going to have to get past that so it doesn't destroy my whole product. Grammar or structure, any intrusion, miscues, memory. Are we able to retain the information? The actual message production. Again, like I said, I'm kind of going through the vocabulary a little quicker. You will have the PowerPoint at the end if you need it. Plus, as I said, this one is, I think, this one should be from EIPA, and each one is going to have their own. I know that Nick has their glossary of terms, and those are things we just want to look at and have. I would print them and have them near me. All right, non-manual markers, omissions, miscues, that processing time, that lag time. So I do like to take a minute to talk about processing time no matter what workshop that I'm presenting, because I have my own theory basically with processing time, or my own definition of processing time. Processing time, we were taught a lot. I know I was taught processing time is this, okay? This is your processing time. I have come to learn that processing time is not necessarily this, but processing time is this. It's about control. It's about how I control the product that I'm working with. In other words, if I'm back here and the punchline is starting to come up for a joke, is this where I want to be? I want to be closer up here, because I need to be able to hit that at the same time if I can, so that we don't end up with the deaf consumer going, oh, what are you laughing at? Oh, what are y'all laughing at? Oh, it's done. Well, what did they laugh at? Because then I missed it all. So I want to try to be as close as I can. Do I want to be back here if they say, oh, okay, meet me tonight, here's my numbers. Oh, I better be up here a little bit closer. I need to use those prediction skills and that whole control to be able to manage everything. Okay, I need to be up here for this. I need to be back here. So where do I need to be? It's not always just sitting back here. That's not always going to be effective. So I need to be able to learn those techniques in order to identify things so that I can have more control over my processing time. Does that make sense to people? Everybody still here? You're happy? You're good? You're like, is it lunchtime? Would this lady be quiet? Sometimes I just talk to myself. Okay. Prosody. So we want to talk about the overall fluency. Prosody does come in your signing as well. How fluent am I when I sign? If you watch your own product, if you're like, oh, I look kind of like a robot, then I want to think, how can I smooth it up? How can I maybe start small with chunks? I'm gonna do consecutive completely for my practice because I feel like I'm not fluent. So I need to listen to this, get what they're saying out of it. I want to get comfortable just putting it out here. Okay, so I might do it in smaller, more manageable chunks at first. And then build up to, let me just push play, and then I'm going to try to work on this. Because any interpreting is not going to happen overnight, as we all know. And we all feel like we get at a plateau, and we're not. During those plateaus, if we're working, if we're practicing our craft, usually we're improving. But I always tell people, interpreting, compare it to playing a piano. Does anybody sit down and play Mozart, Beethoven? Do they just sit down and play that? No, they have to practice it. It's a skill. This is a skill. You have to practice it. You have to learn. You have to learn different techniques. You have to try new things when something's not working. We have to practice our craft over and over and over again in order to hone those skills. So I might start out, and let me tell you, I have a mentoring workshop that I present. And in my mentoring workshop, I actually show a video of me interpreting back in the day. I can't stop laughing when I watch my own video because it's, you have to be able to laugh at yourself, right? Or else I would cry, because it's definitely like, oh, wow, I've come a long way since then. So over time and doing that practicing and doing some chunking at the beginning to get that fluency, eventually that fluency will come through your product. That's okay. You heard me. I'm over here bending down, hitting the machine that's here. I have a Roomba and it clicks on at the same time every day, and I turn it off. So I just put it right beside me and then I turn it off. That's how I deal with things. Okay. And Bruce is right here. And if the Amazon people come, which they do a lot, you're going to hear him. And last weekend there was a storm and he ended up here with the workshop and he kept pushing me. So I digress. Anyway. So semantics, source language, target language, structuring space, where you're working, substitution miscues. Those are all part of the terminology that we use in this field. Again, I recommend that you do some more research on that and have that in your little book of wonderful things, your handy dandy notebook to keep with you. Sabrina's list of sayings. These aren't just my sayings. You're going to look at them and go, lady, a lot of us say this. Well, I just like to remind you of this too. Fake it till you make it. When we are putting this product out there, I need to fake it till I make it. If I question my product, where's the trust going to be for my deaf consumer? Do you think they're going to trust me at all? And I tell people all the time, because for some reason when we're testing, we get really nervous and we're not sure where to look. Yes, thank you, Marianne. We're not sure where to look and what to do, and then we start losing trust, or a consumer will. But when you are actually interpreting and you're in a room with someone and you have the deaf consumer there, you're always looking at your consumer and you're always checking in, right? But for some reason, when that live person disappears, all of a sudden we're like, oh, it's like that movie with Will Ferrell, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, I don't know what to do with my eyes anymore. So we have to have that connection. This is trust. If I'm not looking at you, or if I don't check in with you occasionally, the trust starts to disappear in a live setting. So we need to remember that when we're working and we're taking some of these tests, because that's our goal, is to be able to be effective in our work every day and to get the test a pass that we want to test. Okay. So fake it till you make it. Because trust me, if you get something wrong, they know. They know. So you don't have to like identify it and go, huh? Or I got that wrong, or You just fake it till you make it. When in doubt, wait it out. That is one of the hardest things that we as interpreters usually do, because we have that fear of the pause. We have that fear of, am I going to get too far behind? But if I start to get in doubt, what I do is I give you this trust nod, this head nod. I give you this, and I give you that eye gaze, And I'm still listening. Don't worry, I got this. And then I'm like, okay, this is what it is. This is what they're saying. So I might be struggling for a minute. I remember when I took my first EIPA years ago, I watched, and there's nothing coming out of this mouth at that time. But I was watching the whole thing, and I had to wait before I could put something out. Like that, it's the same thing when you're listening. So I am listening, and I'm listening. I'm like, I don't know where the speaker's going with this. I don't know what they're trying to say. If I don't know what they're trying to say, I'm going to struggle putting this information out to them. And hopefully they're going to know it. But on a test, that's not going to happen. So I've got to figure out, oh, okay, this is the point. Let me tell you the point of what's going on here. So I'm going to transfer that meaning. Yes, don't dwell on the mistakes. We're the worst. We'll beat ourselves up all day long. I beat myself up constantly. It doesn't matter if it's a screening, if it's a test, whatever. You think that, oh, they're nationally certified, they're good for the rest of their, No, I beat myself up on calls at Sorensen. I look at my team in the school district and I'm like, I don't know sign language. Do you? Because apparently I don't. I mean, we all have those feelings some days. So we can't dwell on that. We have to get past it. Show me, don't tell me. When it comes to your ASL product, I don't want the words. I need you to show me. I want you to show me what's going on. If you can think of that, if you can strip that language, the English language, if you can strip that away from yourself, you're going to get so much more visual. So when I'm working with people and I'm giving feedback, I will tell them, show me, don't tell me. Show me, don't tell me. I don't want you to tell me. I don't need you to sign to me everything. I need you to show me, oh, this happened? Yes, that happened. Okay, good. I need the eye gaze. I need the use of space. I need this. I need my classifiers. I want to look at that visual representation. I don't want to just see you up here just putting words there. And that's what we want to do when we're taking tests and when we're analyzing our product. I talk about tests a lot because what you're going to do with analyzing is basically what a rater would do. Like you're going to have to, take that test and take that product of yours and just kind of tear it apart. Work smarter, not harder. So it's hard for us to let go of the language sometimes, but if I am able to give you that visual representation rather than just giving you the words, that's actually working smarter. And because the words, you're going to just be interpreting yourself to death and you're going to be sweating to death trying to get the information out there. Whereas if you can show me and tell me, and then you're going to be working smarter because now I'm actually giving you what this looks like and we're doing that visual representation. And glean the meaning. What does it mean? What's the point of what they're trying to say? I don't have to have everything in there. One of my biggest recommendations to people sometimes when they're struggling with gleaning the meaning, I tell them in your own language, in English language, get out a paragraph, like a story or whatever. Just take the first paragraph. Go through the first paragraph sentence by sentence and paraphrase each sentence. Like force yourself to say those words in a different way. Force yourself to change that around if you have to. Okay, now then we do that, we can do the same thing in ASL. So then we take, if we're saying the boy went into the store, okay? And then okay, I need you to do it a different way. But the boy went into the store, now did he? Okay, so so then the boy here, cart, So now I'm starting to say, okay, he went to the store. So I'm forcing myself to think differently for as many times as I can. And the more you practice things like that, then when you start hearing it, then you have options. And how great is it to have options for your product rather than thinking, I just have to put this out there. Now it becomes, what's the best way to put this out there? Constantly telling people that we have a bag of tricks. I always say I've got a bag of tricks and I want to throw it in everything I can in my bag of tricks. If I'm hanging out with the deaf community, if I'm hanging out with a team interpreter at an assignment, if I'm just watching a play and there happens to be another interpreter there, chances are I'm watching you. I'm a thief. I'm stealing. I'm stealing from you because I'm seeing, oh, that's nice. I'm putting that one in my bag of tricks. That looked nice. Oh, what they did was good. I'm going to put that in my bag of tricks, because the more I have, the more options that I have when it comes to putting my product out there. How are we doing out there? Everybody doing good? Okay. Now, the next part of, yay! Okay, then I just like to know that y'all are there sometimes. I just want to stop you from petting your dogs and whatever. Although mine's like right here. He might make an appearance. He's a 115-pound Rottweiler, so if he makes an appearance, you're going to know. Okay, building the bag of tricks. Yes, Nicole. Okay, so now I want you to think about what is in your control. This is what I tell people is one of the biggest things that you need to think about when you're analyzing your own work, when you are going to take any test. You need to think about your controls and what's not in your control, okay? So when I'm analyzing my work or when I'm trying to look over my product, I have to think to myself, what do I have control over? Now, what does that mean, Sabrina? All right, so let's think about the things that you might have in your control. Now, there are things that we do not have in our control as well as interpreters, okay? So if I miss that fingerspell word, that train's gone. I just found that out when I took the IPA again. It doesn't come back. Maybe it's gone. Woohoo, bye-bye. I have to figure out something else. If I didn't understand that part of the message, maybe it just skewed and it doesn't make sense to me. If I don't get it, if I miss it, if I don't understand that sign, it's not in my control. That's out of my control. Maybe I don't hear what they said. So I'm listening and I'm like, oh, I don't know what that means. So you've got to glean the meaning, but Sabrina, I don't know what that even means. Okay. So now I'm going to have to start getting the overall surrounding picture, because these are things that are not in my control. If I just totally miss it, if I totally, like, I don't catch the fingerspell word, or I don't produce, I didn't hear the word to fingerspell, I don't know how to fingerspell it. So I'm going to try to do it phonetically as possible. These are things that are that's not in my control. But what we can control, we have to control. Now, these are things, these are just a few, it's not an exhaustive list. My confidence. When I go out there, I can control my confidence. Now, it might be acting, and that's okay, because some of us, we struggle with the confidence thing. That's completely okay. I'm presenting for you guys again in a couple weeks, the testing workshop, and we talk about anxiety and stuff. But that's something that, you know, I can fake it. And remember, fake it till you make it. I can fake it if I have to, because this is in my control. Even if my insides, even if my doctor's saying, oh, this anxiety is real, okay, but it's in my control for this moment. So I can control my confidence. I can put on that face. I can be an actress for the day. My affect. That's in my control. Affect is a skill, again, that we learned. If I look at you and if I say the boy went into the store rather than the boy went into the store. So that affect, that's my control. I can't let I'm not sure that I'm seeing this interfere with that. My eye gaze, my role shift, those are things, and again, this is not an exhaustive list. Those are the things in my control. Now, when you go to take any test, we talked about before, there's going to be your raters that are going to be there. They're going to have some sort of rubric, okay? When I'm looking at my own product, I need to think about that rubric. So here I go in to take a test, and I have, these are my controls, and let's say I'm going to do it. I'm going to control what I can, no matter what I feel, I'm going to control it. So if we're going from like a 0% to a 10%, which is 100%. So if I'm going between that scale and I'm just, my eye gaze, I'm controlling it. My affect, I'm controlling it. I'm doing all this. Okay, then it gets to maybe my finger spelling. Maybe I'm not putting that out. I was really too fast. Okay, well, now that's going to go down a little bit maybe. I couldn't control that one quite as much. And so maybe because I didn't know how to spell the word, so I just did the best I could. I can slow down my rate. That's my control. That is a control. But if I don't know how to finger spell the word, if I don't know how to spell the word, I'm sorry, then that's out of my control. So I'm going to have to do the best I can. So then we go down here. In the end, when that averages, how's that going to look if I have all my controls in check, but the things that are not in my control, I didn't do so well over? It's going to average out pretty high, right? But if I go in there and I let go of the things that I have in control, and then all of a sudden I'm like, and I do this, I just lost points on my affect. I just lost points on my sentence structure. I just lost points on like I lost all those points because I was going, there's no trust there. So I might say, and they might go, oh, way too fast and you spelled it wrong. But they're like, oh, everything else she has in her control. So we can give her points for that. Does that make sense? Yeah, those are the things that we have to think about when we're working. That's the average that we want. We want the higher average, because even if maybe I take a chance on the spelled word, and maybe I take that chance and I do everything that I'm supposed to do, and I spell it and I'm like, but in my head, I still keep everything going. And that the huh thing I did in my head. So everything else was very, I did this. And then in the end, I'm like, I don't know, I think I spelled that wrong. What if I spelled it right? What if I guessed and I got it right? Boom, that's going to go up here. But if I don't, and I put all those questions in there, then even if I get it right, I've already knocked everything else because I was like, So those things can definitely interfere with your product. All right. What are raters looking for? What are they looking for? I am not a rater, by the way. If I was a rater, I couldn't really be presenting this workshop. So you probably figured that out already. But I do, what are they looking for? I do the research. I do what are they doing? What are the forms that they use to rate? Now, and I'm going to share these with you. I'm going to share this particular one that I just showed you here in a little bit. So when I'm analyzing my product, that's another thing that I found these because I went on the internet and I started searching for things. What do they do? What is out there? What can I find? And I found an EIPA one that had like a 1 through 5. I think this is from the Virginia Quality Assurance Screening, and it helped.
Damn it. I don't know what happened. Maybe I'll have to get back on it again.
Let me I muted it, don't worry. I know it's a struggle. Technology is our friend sometimes, right? So it helps us to know what they're looking for, though, because if I can go the same with the vocabulary, if I can go and find, oh, you're going to actually be judging me on the language mode I'm using, okay, then I definitely need to make sure that I'm matching the speaker or whatever language mode they're asking for. These are the things we want to research before we go into test, and we want to learn how to look at in our own product. All right. So these are some examples, but they're, again, not an exhaustive list. Processing time, and we talked about that. Processing time is more about control. Are you using processing time? Are you showing processing time on your face? So let me give you an example of that. So if we're working and you're looking at your own product, and here's what you see in the product. If I'm putting something out there, we're going to keep that boy grocery shopping. So if I go, okay, so if you look at that product, you're like, all right, I mean, she signed it right. I mean, she signed, it makes sense. I can get on board with that, right? Now watch this time. Okay, just my eye gaze alone changes that product. When I'm doing the first one, and you can type in if you want to, what were you thinking when I was doing the first one with my eye gaze? Yeah, it looked like I'm not sure. It looked like it. So I'll do it again to show you the first one. So my eyes are all over the place. It looks like I'm searching for something. I'm signing fine. I'm getting the information out there fine, but just that eye gaze alone knocks your points down. Because even though I'm in my head, I'm not processing, I know what I want to say, and I think my product is good. There's no trust there with the audience, because then I'm looking, I see processing on your face, and I'm like, what are they looking for? What's she looking for? What's she looking all around the room for? So what's going on? Even though you're like, what? I think I was fine. But now you're showing processing, and that's what they're going to put down. They're going to put down processing. You know, we needs to work on processing. Exactly. It looks like you don't know what you're doing, even if you do know what you're doing. So it's little things like that. When we're putting our hands up and we're putting our product out, those are things I need to control. Whatever you need to do as far as testing goes, I mean, take a picture if you have to, whatever you need to do that. But you want to make sure that I have that connection with my audience. Because if I don't, even if it's accurate, you're going to get some points off for that. All right. So what's going to happen now is you are actually, you're going to become the rater of a product, okay? So I'm going to try to do this the best way I know how, which is, first of all, I'm going to have to move you guys for a second. I'm going to unshare my screen for a second. What I'm going to do is put this file in here. Now, sometimes this works for people and sometimes it doesn't. We're going to do our very best to try to get that. But I shared a file in there for whatever reason. Sometimes people can get it and sometimes they can't. But this is just an example. So this is a voice to sign. And can I get a, are people able to download it? Were they able to get it? Downloaded, thank you. Some people got it, okay. So, okay, so most people are getting it. Now, I just put it right here in the chat. I put it in the chat bubble for you. But what I'm also going to do is I am going to, all right, some people showed up in there and some people it didn't. Okay. Oh, so now if you have an iPhone or something, you might struggle a little bit with trying to download that. So, but I am going to share it one more time to see if that helps. And if not, don't worry about it. You can reach out to me afterwards. I just shared it again. It's coming up. If not, you can reach out to me afterwards. And plus, I'm going to share it with you here too, so that you can kind of see it. Now, what this is, again, it's one of the examples. It's one of the examples of rubrics that you will see. And now everyone can see it. You should be able to see it because I shared my screen. So this would be an example of what you might see a rater might use to look at your product if they're looking at your hands up product. So as you can tell they have some sort of rubric of something, and they're going to take this rubric and they're going to say, hey, what do we got here? They don't even start. I mean, we got 40, 50, 60, we go all the way up to 100%. And then we got 1 through 10. So they're going to, if 1, that means like you're rocking at about 10%. 10 is going to be about 100%. So they're looking at things like your mouth movements and your language mode. I just showed you an example of processing. So, her processing, the first one, they're like, processing is going to be low. Second one, she's not showing processing. She's not showing processing at all. Sign choices, sign production, sign clarity. So literally they're looking at the clearness of your signs. That's in my control. And what I like, and the reason I show this too, is because when you look down this, I don't know about you guys, but when I started thinking of it this way, I started getting hope because testing, that's all I've ever done in this field. And I started out years ago, but then I started looking at things like this and I'm like, oh, they're looking at my mouth movements even for like that transliterating product. Or I got to keep the grammar on there for the ASL product. Okay, I can do that. Because I automatically just assume the worst. And I think they're just looking going, oh, she can't sign or she can't. That's not what they do. They have so many things that they're looking at when they're looking at your product. So we take that, and if I can take that into consideration, then I can work on it. And even then, when I get the feedback from the diagnostics, then I can apply that in my product as I move forward. Maybe I didn't get what I wanted, but now I can go back and I go, oh, okay, I see what they're talking about now, and now I know what that means. This is the second one. And this talks about the space, the fluency. You wouldn't necessarily think about that. We think of fluency in voicing, but there should be a fluency in your ASL product as well. Again, we don't want to look like a robot. We want to have its language, and it wants to look and come off like language. Are we matching our speaker, the register? Now, here's the miscues that I'm talking about. Sometimes these are the things that can be out of our control. Did I misunderstand something? Did I delete something because I forgot it as I was working? Those are things that are less in my control. But then, did I get the meaning across? Were the key points made? I might have missed Food Lion. I might have missed Italian dinner. But did I get the key points across in general? Okay. Okay, we good? All right. So here's what's going to happen now.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
In the part where it says miscues, additions, isn't it sometimes okay when you're adding, like expanding on a concept? I mean, you can get points for that, right? I mean.
And it depends, a good question. It depends on the addition. Is it additional information that's not there? So just like if I use my ELK, my extra linguistic knowledge, if I have that, but then I put in information that's really not there, but just because I know it, that'd be considered an addition. That's too much. So we don't want to go too much just because people will put that in their product. But if I happen to say, maybe if it's an addition of the appropriate word choice or the addition that fits in that setting, I'm trying to give an example. Oh, let's say it's whatever it is they're talking about. They're describing something, and I realize, oh, it's the Three Stooges or something, and then I go, oh, the Three Stooges. Like I could put information in as long as I'm not doing too much expansion. The fear with the additions is we put in too much information that's not there because I know what they're talking about. So I myself used to be a cosmetologist. I'm still licensed, like many years ago. So it's a chance that if someone were talking about doing hair, I might be doing the right terminology and I might doing all these other things great. But then I might see something, I'm like, oh no, but they have to do this first. So before they do that, they do this. That would be an addition. Like I don't want to go too much. I hope that makes sense. Okay.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good. I'm glad that you like this document. I like this one too. All right, so what we're going to do, again, I'm going to try to get you all to do your own little product if we get time at the end, and you'll use this for your own benefit. but first we're going to let me unshare because I've got to share something else. So you're like, where's my sharing going? There's the PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, I'm going to hope that this works this way, but I'm not going to go to chance. I like to have backup to my backup to my backup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen so that you can see this, and then I'm also going to give you the link for this as well. What I ask though, it is coming from my own page, and because people can't always hear everything. So this is coming from my own page, and this is coming from someone that volunteered to have their work put out there. So when the workshop's over, if you can please just delete this. I mean, I can go in and make it private again, but it's just, yeah, don't use it, don't post it anywhere, do anything like that with it. But I want to share it with you because I know technology is not fun, and some of you guys are going to be like, I can't hear it, I can't see it, and so I want you to be able to do that. Okay, so I'm putting the link there as well in the chat bubble. Okay, I am going to play this video, and this wonderful, wonderful woman has graciously allowed me to use her product for us to look at. This is done with permission, and I am so happy. This is her years ago. She's actually definitely improved since then and has her credentials, but has her state credentials. But anyway, I'm just going to push play. We're not watching the whole thing, obviously, but I want you to take into consideration that rubric that you have beside you there, and I just want you to start noticing some things, okay?
Each sister's presence.
Okay. We're gonna be watching this some more, but first of all, I want you to go through your rubric, just kind of give it a glance. I'm gonna show you something else here in a second. I know that you're like, we can't hear the product. There's a reason for that though. Hold on a minute. Okay, so after you've kind of glanced at your rubric and you've kind of taken a few notes, seeing some of her product. Now, I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to play this, and I'm going to play the audio with it. So let me get
Big sister's clothes.
Okay. I'm just getting it ready for when I do. So you could hear that? Okay. So here's one of the things that I recommend to people though, when you are looking at your own product and you're doing that analysis. First of all, I should do what we just did. I should look at my product and think, can I get it even? Like, I don't want to hear it, because what happens is if we can hear the English and we can see our product, then we're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But if you take the English away and then you look at that, you're like, wait a minute, and if you can put it all for a week or two so it helps you forget the story a little bit, then that's even better. Because now I'm focused on, do I get her? Do I understand what she's saying? Can I tell the strategies that she's using? And so those are the things now that I'm able to look at because I don't have that English intrusion on there. So now I'm going to play this with the sound.
Big sister's clothes. Hello, this is Natasha, and I'm dropping by to tell you a story about two sisters, a big sister and a little sister. Do you have a sister? If so, I hope you're always nice to her and never quarrel. Anyway, the big sister was called Debbie, and the little sister was called Daisy. Debbie was 7 and Daisy was 4, and most of the time they were great friends. Even when Daisy broke some of Debbie's toys, she didn't mind too much. And most of the time, Daisy didn't mind being the little sister. Just occasionally it made her very cross indeed. And this story is about one of those days. It started out a pretty ordinary sort of day. It was the holidays, and there was no school. So as soon as the two girls got up, they started playing. They played with their dolls in the room. They went down to breakfast and played with their eggy soldiers.
Okay, now, I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute. Okay, so you've able to look at enough of this product to kind of get yourself kind of an overall feeling of what we're seeing here. So now let's go back. Let's go back.
Sabrina, while you're doing that, there are a couple of questions in the chat you haven't addressed at this time. So regarding the form, at what age is this appropriate for students to use?
Okay, sorry, yes. For students to use, and are you talking about students in school to use? I'm thinking interpreting students. Interpreting students should use this because we're analyzing our own product. So if you're talking about giving this to a student in school to use, like a 5 to 7-year-old?
I think that was the interpretation because the form says student form. So I think you clarified and answered it.
Okay, sorry. This is a student as in like, you're thinking of like an interpreting student per se. No, students would not get these, like students actual in school kids. These are for professionals in our field, sorry.
And then the next question that a couple of people had is, do we have permission to share the document with other interpreters?
I have no problem with you sharing that. No problem at all. Because I found it. Anything I find is yours. I share all. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Speaking of share. Here it is. Okay. So now let's go back and let's kind of talk about this as a group, the best that you can. So I know that you're going to be throwing things in the chat bubble. I couldn't see the chat bubble earlier when I was showing the video. So let's look at what you saw, and you can pick something. Let's say you're picking processing, or let's say maybe you pick sign production. Type in sign production and a number that you might give them. Type in sign clarity and a number. Just give me a number of what you're kind of gauging. Remember, we're doing this as practice. This is a safe environment. We're not trying to rip anyone to shreds. We're looking at her and we see that there's emerging presence of a lot of things. Like she has an emerging presence of some great things. However, they're emerging, which means there's some that need to be honed. So what might you see out there? I gave 6, okay. Little too fast, yeah. Sign clarity, maybe a 3. Processing, that processing will get you. Did you see what we were talking? I had given you an example of that processing already. And then as soon as I give you the example, you're like, oh, I see it, I see that processing. So when it comes to the sign production, um, exactly. I love that, Audra. She didn't, she narrated the story. So she's hanging on to the words of the story, which means she's not able to glean the meaning from it. Now, we have, when we're working, if you're familiar with it, we have lexical, we have phrasal, sentential, and textual when it comes to how we put information out. Lexical is more the word, which I would say she was kind of close to both of those. She was more of a lexical and a phrasal. So she hasn't quite got to the storytelling part of it yet. Yes, and that's another thing, Amanda, that we want to think about. The tight space. What causes that tight space? Is that something that we do because we're nervous? Do we feel like we can't move out? I know interpreters, there's interpreters out there that'll tell you, oh my gosh, Sabrina tells me all the time, cut the strings. There's interpreters that I work with and we'll joke around and I'm like, got my scissors ready. Free yourself. Let them arms fly. I mean, don't go too crazy, but cut the strings, like use your space. That use of space is going to be so helpful. But if we're like this, and sometimes it's just nerves that cause us to just kind of ball up. And sign choices were effective. Like they were affected by her processing. So, but I'm pretty sure that's what she was processing for. So that comes back to those lexical and those phrasal. So when you're processing on that level, she's processing to find the sign that she needs. Once you start learning how to identify these types of processing, eventually you can look at a person and say they're processing for vocabulary. They're processing for meaning. Like they're trying to figure out what that means. They're processing for how they want to put it out. They know what it means. They have the signs ready for it. They got the vocabulary. But now they're processing because they're trying to figure out what's the best way for them to put this out. It's funny how you can start to identify those types of processing in a person. Lack confidence. Now, here's the thing. She seemed to lack confidence, but then when she did get her moments of confidence, what happened? Repeating the processing styles again. There's lexical, which is more of a word. And then there's phrasal, which are getting more of the not the complete sentence a lot of times, but you're getting like closer to the sentence level. And then there's sentential, which is you're getting the sentences and you're getting that meaning. And then the textual is which you're getting the whole meat of everything. Yeah, she tried to stay, except for when she was processing. When she got it, she got back with you. Like she's going to tell you, do you have a sister? And so then she's trying to engage that affect. She was trying to get that information out there, but then she didn't trust herself again because she's trying to process, oh, I don't know the sign for this. I don't know that. And look at the difference it can make in that product because you can see the difference when you're looking. You're like, oh, you got me. Ooh, you just lost me again. Oh, you got me. So it's those type of things that we get that connection with. Oh, the accents, you know, this is not really too bad. Story Nori, they talk British, you know, that's fun to talk British, but I love these stories because I think they're clear and well enunciated. However, it's not that they're clear. It's not that the accent's going to necessarily get you. What will get you is eggy soldiers. Ha ha! Who knows what an eggy soldier is, right? So there's eggy soldiers. I don't know if we got to, there's a couple of other ones in there too. So it's like, I'm sorry, what eggy what? Now, if you know about these things, they're literally like these little eggs that are on like a little stand type thing. So if you know that going in, you might be able to show or whatever and do that. If not, you might have to finger spell it, but own it. You know, eggy soldiers or whatever. And they played with them. I'm just going to own it because I don't know what the heck it is. So I'm going to fake it till I make it. I'm going to put that out there as much as I can. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a connection with that story. So I didn't, no, Eggy Soldier is like, huh? I didn't feel it. At times I did, and there was an emerging presence of it, but there are times that I just didn't feel that connection there. Another thing that we look for, like if you're looking and I'm checking my own product, is remember we talked about before, that meaning equivalency, and what does that mean? So how about big and little sister? Is that what that means? Not necessarily. Not at all. So it's not necessarily like the size per se. So then I have to think, well, what are they saying? This is something I do pretty much all the time, to be honest with you. When I'm listening to, riding down the road, I'm listening to NPR, watching TV, I'll hear something and I'll go, oh, what does that mean? What does that mean? I'm trying to do that whole paraphrasing thing to help me figure out what that means. So then you think, exactly, you think things like older sister, younger sister, maybe big sister, little sister. If that kind of at least gives that visual of that as well. So I have options, and I play around with what options do I have. But when we hear big and little, we automatically think big and little. And it's like, I was processing too close. Need to use that control when I get back there. And if I think about what that means, then I have enough time to go, big sister. Okay, very good. All right, what else did we notice? Anything else? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. When I get excited, you should get nervous. What I want you to do is when we have the opportunity, again, this is a teaser workshop, when we have the opportunity to spend the day together, then we would do this actually in the room. Now, I would like you, and I'm not going to throw something difficult with you. I'm going to give you the same thing. I'm sitting like, what's she going to do next? So we're going to do Big Sister, okay? I'm not going to do it for very long, but if you have the ability, and if you don't, it's in the advertisement that we try to do some video in, but I'm going to play the audio for you. I want you to set your phone up, just kind of set it over there to the side or whatever. All these handy dandy things we bought because we're at home and we have a pandemic. So now I can do this when I'm working. So you put it on there, you get yourself all ready, and then you're going to actually put it on video. And I want you to record yourself doing this. Now, obviously, I can't be there to go through your product with you like I would love to be able to do. But when we're done, then we're going to go back again, and you're going to be able to do the same thing that we're kind of doing now. We'll put this up, and we're going to look for some certain things in our product, okay? So I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. And again, feel free to, if you feel uncomfortable, feel free to, block your screen or whatever. I don't care. This is something we're learning how to analyze our own product. So if you're like, I don't want y'all to see me do this, that's fine. If you don't, turn your back to me. If you feel, that's fine. I want you to be comfortable. Again, safe environment. I want you to feel comfortable. I'll give you just a second to get all of your ducks in a row, and then I'll give you a 5-second countdown before I actually start playing the audio. And then I just want you to do your best and kind of put your hands up. And then again, it's something that you can go back and look at. So I'm going to give you a 5-second countdown. Oh, just kidding. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Big Sister's Clothes. Hello, this is Natasha, and I'm dropping by to tell you a story, Nori, about 2 sisters, a big sister and a little sister. Do you have a sister? If so, I hope you're always nice to her and never quarrel. Anyway, the big sister was called Debbie, and the little sister was called Daisy. Debbie was 7 and Daisy was 4. And most of the time they were great friends. Even when Daisy broke some of Debbie's toys, she didn't mind too much. And most of the time, Daisy didn't mind being the little sister. But just occasionally it made her very cross indeed. And this story is about one of those days. It started out a pretty ordinary sort of day. It was the holidays, and there was no school. So as soon as the 2 girls got up, they started playing. They played with their dolls in the room. They went down to breakfast and played with their eggy soldiers. And they went out to the garden and played on the swings. And Daisy decided it was shaping up into quite a nice day, because the thing she really liked best of all was playing with her big sister. But then it all started to go very wrong. on, Debbie, said their mum. It's time to go to Girl Guides. Me come too, said Daisy, jumping up and down. Don't be silly, said Mum. You have to be 7 to join the Girl Guides. Daisy felt a bit cross about that. Still, it would be fun when Debbie got home.
Okay, let's just stop your devices. Okay, so before we go any further, and I'm going to give you a chance to go back and look at your product. So when you're listening to this, I need you to type in and tell me how many people are involved in this story as of now. Okay. Okay, so did we get the father? Did the father come in yet? No father yet. Okay, he was just mentioned. I think that was Debbie. Yeah, I think they think that was, I think you might have thought that was Daddy. So it was Debbie that they said. No, so we haven't got Dad quite yet. However, I'm going to take 4 or 5 because Dad does come into the story. That's okay. Dad does come into the story later. That's why I was like, y'all using prediction skills? Because that's pretty good. But yeah, but what tends to happen sometimes when we're working, I tell people automatically, if you have that opportunity to listen to the product before you start, listen and find out how many people. We tend to think characters alone, and we forget that all-important narrator. Your narrator is so important, especially in this story, because where's my narrator's eye gaze? Ooh, give you a hint. It's right here. Here's the person telling the story. That helps me with my eye gaze because then if Mom shows up, I'm not looking there anymore because now I'm the character in the story. So and so now I'm Mom, and then oh, she was mad. So now I'm back to the narrator. So everybody has a place in space that's going to be very helpful later. Now, I want to also give you some help as far as that one goes, as far as the use of space. I tell people when you're working with use of space, in this particular story, because we know there's Daisy and we know there's Debbie, we know there's 2 sisters. So what happened, what did the interpreter do previously that kind of got her in a pinch for a second? Yeah, she started listing. Oh, we love our ASL listing though. So ASL listing, we love it. However, then what happens is I'm going to have to manipulate. Uh-oh, wait a minute. This is the whole story. They're going to talk about this the whole time. And I didn't give you that. I'm not giving you a lot of information. So then we have to think error and recovery. So exactly, if I've put them here and now I'm in this and I realize we're going to be here for a while, I'm going to need to set them so I can start using my space a little bit more efficiently. Don't feel like you're locked into something. That's another thing that happens to people. They think I did this, I did it wrong, I'm stuck in it. And it could be anything from, I've had people say, come back from testing and go, oh, well, they said this and I caught it later, but then I had already said that his name was Jimmy and his name was Bobby. And so I just stuck with it because that's what I had said the first time, but I saw that. No. Never lock yourself in. Just fix it and go, because then they will know, oh, error and recovery. So let's just do that. And I don't have to make a big ordeal of it. rather it was this time rather than that this time. I don't have to do that. I can just say, you know, Jimmy rather, if I want to throw that in there and just keep going. You know, so just change it and go so that they know that you can do that. Oh no, you got kicked out. That's okay. We're going to hang in there. You're going to still be able to participate. So we do want to think of things like that when we're looking at our own product, and we want to empower ourselves to own my product. If I am putting my hands up, and let's use the EIPA, for example. So if I'm up there and I'm just signing away and I'm getting my thought and I'm trying to process, and then all of a sudden that screen comes up and they start talking or something and it cuts me off. I've had people come back and say, it cut me off. So then and I'm like, no. Never let that, you just keep signing or you just keep speaking, whatever. Don't let them keep going and finish your thought. You are in control. I can sign and just watch what's happening next. And then, you know, read whatever I need to or listen to whatever I need to. So I can sign and put this out there. Finish your thoughts. Oh, exactly. Always fix it. Error and recovery is a thing. They want to see what you do under pressure. So, and trust me, I just did it and I just made a mistake. And I literally went, when it came up the next time, I was like, oh, that's not what I voiced. And so then I said, rather blah, 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 blah. And I just kept on going. It worked out well for me. So, I don't mention the mistakes when I think I said rather. I think I said, I don't know, let me try to give an example because I can't tell you test content. So let me give an example. Maybe it's a car. And so I said it was Chevrolet, and then later on it ended up being a Dodge. And then I might have said rather it was a Dodge, blah, blah, blah. So I've said rather. I don't even know that I would have to do that. I think you could just say it was a Dodge. I mean, Dodge, blah, 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 and go from that. But the important thing is to go ahead and fix it. Like go ahead and say the correct one so they can see, oh, okay, she was able to do that. Now, does that mean at the end of the test you say, you know, if this would have been actually, I've had people say that they've done that during the test. If this would have been in a real test, I would ask them for clarification. Not me, because that would throw my whole train of thought completely off. Okay, so now we're going back to your product. And I want you to take a second and go ahead and watch your product. Again, I can't see your product, but I want you to watch your product, and I'm going to leave at least this one up here. I can't get both of them up here at the same time, but I'm going to leave this one up here, and I want you to and if you have it printed at home or on your computer, look at all of them. But as you're looking at your own product, if you don't mind sharing, and if you can pop something in the share box, if you're like, I don't mind sharing that, you know, my processing was off, or I don't mind sharing that my clarity, actually I think my finger spelling was clear. I'm gonna give myself a 10 on that one. So if you don't mind, pick something and give yourself something in there. Just gonna give you a minute or so to do that. Look at your product, because I know we filmed for about a couple minutes. I'm going to move it to the second screen too, so you can kind of look at both of them. And I'm going to talk a little bit while you're doing that. So sometimes I think that we do get down on ourselves and our own product and what's really happening is, even in the person that we just saw and we analyzed their product, we saw that there was things that needed to be worked on, but then we also saw things that were like, okay. And with the numbers that we had popping up through here, there was some okay numbers for some of them. Like there's some things that came out of that. So if we have, she might've had some 6s and some, 7s and some 4s. So then we're looking at a newer interpreter, and that averages up to maybe a 50 or a 60%. That's the percent that they're looking at. That might be where they are in their career. That's where they're starting. But at least now they know, okay, just because I didn't get those finger-spelled words doesn't mean all of my product is like, I'm not a good interpreter because I don't do that. I want to work on my controls first. And I'm only going to pick, this is where the deliberate practice comes in. We also don't want to, when you're looking at your product right now, if there are times on there that you're looking going, oh no, this, not allowed, not allowed. 2 things is the max that I will let people pick. And usually if we're working together, it's like, let's just do 1 at a time. But if you're giving any sort of feedback or you're picking yourself apart, of course you can put your ratings in here. But when it comes to working on it and honing that skill, we're not going to go, okay, register, I think I can work on that one and up that a little bit. Okay, I'm going to add some more details. I can be more fluent. Now we're starting to get overwhelmed, and you can't do everything at the same time and improve it. So then we want to think, okay, you know what? I'm just going to focus on my fluency for like 6 weeks. I'm going to keep videoing. I'm going to work on that fluency, and I'm going to try to get that in there. Oh, see, there you go. Processing lagged. Okay, I'm more comfortable with researching material, not cold interpreting. Oh, I love to research anything before I go into it. When we go into a test, we don't always have that information. We get a blurb of what's coming, but we don't get a ton of information. And I do tell people, need more lag time. That's the most famous one of all, by the way, even in my own product. But we don't always have the time or to do that. But when we go to the EIPA, you actually do get lesson plans. Like they have the lesson plans there, and you can spend a considerable amount of that time doing that. I don't tell people to spend a lot of time watching it for the voicing product. I tell them, watch it again, watch this person, watch this person. You only get a choice between 2. Watch this person, watch this person. Okay. Watch this person again, watch this person again. Okay, pick one and be done. Don't watch it 100 times. Because it's not going to help you 100 times to watch it. Spend your time in your research, because that's what's going to help you later. Just watching that person over and over again is not going to help. Okay, so Kathy, I love that. That's definitely an honest, like you were able to be honest with yourself. You're like, you know what? My finger's spelling, I'm making it happen. My speaker affect, I'm matching them. That's in my control. My spatial relationship, I'm a little unsure of that. And that's what I was mentioning before. When it comes to your use of space, I highly recommend put yourself in a spot that's easy to manipulate no matter where you are. And you put one person on one side and one on the other. What I mean by that is the adult is here. The hierarchy person is on this side, is on my left side, and maybe the child or the person, the other hierarchy, the lower hierarchy person is on the other side, my right side. So then it doesn't matter what I do or what I interpret. If I have it like that, then I can go, oh, what did you say? Oh, I said I need to go to the bathroom. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead and go. And then blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, what did you want? Oh, I want ice cream. Okay, no, you can't have that. So in other words, in my brain, I don't have to think about it anymore, because I know that if I'm an adult and I'm going to role shift, I'm going to be over here looking this way. And if I'm a child, or if I'm it's my boss is always going to be here, and then I'm going to always be here. That helps if you are struggling with that. That's a way to baby step it up to being able to go, what did you say? I said I want to go to the bathroom. Okay, no. I'm sorry. What do you want? I want ice cream. Okay, no. So now I feel comfortable manipulating all my space. But that takes, again, the piano. It takes a while. So don't beat yourself up about it. Start small. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. And that's what I'm going to do when I work myself into it. And then eventually practice that skill. Yeah, see, then mom gets added too. Now, in this particular story, always remember that you are not stuck. Meaning, well, we already figured that out too. Okay, Daisy and Debbie, oops, okay. Well, so I'm going to have to put them over here now. So now I have them here, now I have them here. Okay, great. Mom comes in. Okay, oh, no, okay, come on. It's time to go to girl, guys. No, you can't do. You're too young. Okay, well, I want to go. Okay, no. So then later, dad will come into this story. So then dad comes in. So then dad comes in later. It's the identification of them that becomes important. When you're working in your product, make sure you identify when you're using classifiers, when you're using use of space. If we have these pronoun deletions and we don't have our person in there, then that's when the problem occurs. But mom can be here, narrator can be here, because narrator's going to be eye gaze. Narrator's still here. Eye gaze is the only different. Mom's going to be here. Eye gaze is different, and I identified her. Dad's here. What's different? I identified dad, and now I'm dad. As long as you identify it, it's going to be crystal clear. We don't have to worry about that. Yes, practice, practice, practice. Again, it's the whole piano thing. Okay, anybody else have anything else to share about their products? We had affect. And so those are usually our things that we, that's the fake it till we make it part of it, like that confidence sometimes. Now, some people really struggle with that part, but affect tends to be, usually that's my go-to, that I can handle more because I'm like, oh, I can put your face on. I don't know what you're saying or whatever, but I can put your face on. So I can listen to this message and I can get that tone in their voice. That's another key to it as well. When you're working with the product, especially when it's a hands-up product, if you have the opportunity to practice before, we're talking about, practicing anytime. So if I know it's coming, I close my eyes and I listen to this. That's going to help me with my affect and help me hear what that person's saying. Like not only what they're saying, but how are they saying it? Did they just say something and it seemed completely normal, but actually it was a sarcastic hint in there? I've got to convey that in ASL. That might be something that it just can't be caught, but you have to listen for that little sarcastic drip. Oh, thanks for coming today, guys. And it didn't show on the face, but I was like, ooh, that's some sarcasm. I got to get that in here somehow. So those are things that we also want to practice when we're practicing this type of thing at home. When I'm analyzing my product, before I put my hands up, I'm just going to listen to the product, the audio product of what I'm getting ready to do, close my eyes, listen to it and think, what are they trying to convey with this? And then write those notes down and use that in my practice as I go. Yeah, and anytime we're working like this, like when we're working on videos and stuff and testing, that's just the way it is. Get yourself in a comfortable spot of being used to being videoed. If you have to sit for a test, because some of them now, I think it's the national test, it's like start, go. So they don't come in and move everything around for you. EIPA, they still move things around. So you could stand or you could sit for some of it. But I'm pretty sure the NIC, it's like you pick one because we're leaving. I actually ended up sitting for the NIC the last time I took it, because I needed to write my notes for the ethical part of it. And I was like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have to sit. And so I just got myself, comfortable in the chair where I was sturdy, because me, I'll fall right out of it. So I got myself comfortable and made sure that I had plenty of room for my arm space as well. Okay, guys. As far as practice material goes, honestly, I kind of scan the globe for that type of stuff. I do a lot of, obviously YouTube is fantastic. So I do a lot of YouTube material. When I'm working with people, I say that for your hands up product, I'm going to share my screen again so y'all can. I say for my hands up product that NPR is like my highest level. You're not actually going to be able to look at each other's. So we're getting close to the end. I'm going to go ahead and post that up there. So in other words, I get people to work with NPR before they're going to take the national test usually. And because I do that, because that's higher than will be the national test. So if you get really comfortable interpreting NPR, chances are you could probably go ahead and take the national, because that's high level interpreting. It's just a lot of information. Usually it's heavier vocabulary, but it's very clear and enunciated. But there's a lot of turn taking. TED Talks is good for content, but it's just one person. So it's good. It's a step. Like that would be your next step down would be TED Talks. And then so those are what I use as far as that goes. But that's my favorite. Those are my favorite resources. DCMP, yes, they definitely have good resources. Any audio stories, if I can find someone reading an audiobook and there's characters in it, that's great for the role shifting. I'm trying to think of obviously storybook pages like that. And a lot of times I'll go on YouTube because I want to find like how-to videos, even how to change a carburetor. I need different material so that it's not just like one standard thing that we're listening to. It's not always high level, and it could be kids. I'll go, kids telling their favorite stories on YouTube, and I'll do those because then I'm get to practice interpreting for the kids. All right, guys. We made it again. I feel like I talk, whoever's captioning is like this lady, but I'm putting an hour and a half in here and I'm trying to give you as much information as you possibly could take home with you. So I've got the link up here. I'm also going to stop sharing this real quick. And then what I want to do is actually put the link in the chat box for you as well, because that seemed to work for some people last time. Make you disappear. Put it here, and here is the link for that in case you need it as well. And then Marcy's going to give you that end code. Thank you guys. It's 12:15. You get an hour for lunch. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you. Go get something to eat.
All righty. End code for RID and IICCUs is RATE. Capital R, capital A, capital T, capital E. RATE. Thank you so much and enjoy your lunch.